Well, thank you everybody for joining us for our first ever Walk MS Summer Impact Series workshop. As I said, this will be recorded and we'll send this out afterwards. My name is Christina Taranto. I am the Walk MS specialist. I sit in our DC office, but I cover Maryland, DC, Virginia, and West Virginia. I just want to introduce some of our staff, our Mid-Atlantic staff team members who are on this joining us tonight. We have Mary, who is our Walk MS Senior Director. Vince, who is our Walk MS Director for the Maryland, DC, Virginia, and West Virginia chapter. Claire, our Walk MS Manager for Virginia, West Virginia. Amy, our Walk MS Specialist from the Pennsylvania Keystone chapter. Megan, our Walk MS Manager from the Greater Delaware Valley chapter. Melanie, from our Walk MS Specialist from the Greater Delaware Valley chapter. And Alex, our Walk MS Senior Manager from the Ohio chapter. So thank you again, everybody, for being here. We are just going to run through a couple things, some best practices first to just get everybody acquainted. As you can see, just some meeting best practices. Check your internet speed, turn on your camera, stay muted if you're not speaking, be still in a well-lit, quiet space, and just be mindful of your surroundings. So when you look at, depending on how you're viewing us this evening, if you're seeing it from your browser, it's going to look this way. And if you're seeing it from your Teams desktop, it'll look this way. I want to point out a few buttons and options that you have. And you'll see them either at the top or bottom of your screen. There is a mute line, a way to turn on and off your web camera, a way to raise your hand if you have a question, a chat box where you can put in questions and then chat with your fellow Walk MS participants, and a way to leave the meeting. I'm going to show these icons a little closer so that you can see them better. You go back one, Meg, real fast. So those are those icons. So you can see the mute, unmute, start video, and then the little chat box is the easiest way to access all of those things. And for a little fun for the next one, we have that last emoji that looks like your hand being raised. If you click that, we'll know to call on you when it's time for questions. And all those others are emojis. So when you see a moment you want to celebrate, clap your hand, give a thumbs up, show a heart, just to show that while the presenter is going on, we have a little fun way to celebrate things. All right, so let's talk briefly about what we're going to go over today. I am just going to go over some highlights of the website really fast, parts of your participant center, just so you know where things all live. And then we're going to hear from Shannon Wood about some updates and how to get involved with advocacy, which I'm really excited for you guys all to hear about. Okay. So when you log on to your Walk MS page, I used mine as an example just so you guys can all see. If you are signed in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say hello and your name, obviously. And I highlighted the fundraising tab because it has tons of resources in it. So you have fundraising ideas, how to do it with social media, way to access your MS rewards, guides, and where you can see your leadership boards and national board leaders. And you can also find out your walk details. So it's all those great things. I wanted to highlight how to link your Facebook fundraiser. So at this point, everyone's pretty much registered for walk. But during registration, this is where it would look like. After registration, when you go into your participant center, it'll show Facebook fundraiser. You can link it through there and just follow the steps. It's pretty simple. And as you'll see a little later on my toolkit, it's also listed there too. This is just a reminder to link your Facebook fundraiser page through here. It'll go directly to your walk page versus setting up like a birthday fundraiser, because those get pushed to the society as a whole, not necessarily your walk page. The money also goes to the society. It just is a little funky on the walk side. So that's how you do all your Facebook fundraising. And it will end once the September 30th comes. So you don't have to worry about closing that out. And so when we move into our dashboard participant center area, this shows where your Walk MS rewards program are, which is new this year. So I know everybody is still learning about that. If you haven't checked it out yet, our interactive experience is awesome. There's tons of information in there. You can create a bib and all of that good stuff. I highly suggest checking it out. You'd also see what's new. So like, for example, my aunt gave me $100. That was for watching her house. So there's always fun ways to get donations. And then also tells to what to do next. So these are nice little reminders as you first log into all the things you can access and all that good stuff. All right, and then this is when you scroll down a little bit more, you can see you, which will show your fundraising, which can show your fundraising totals, your team total, and then company, and it lists everybody on your team. You can easily edit your goal from here. The good news is I'm a little short of from my goal, but I have till September 30th to fundraise, like all of you guys. So it's just a reminder, if you're not there yet, there's still plenty of time, especially over the summer. So I know for myself, I have another push coming, but it's always an easy way to edit it right there. And then, so here's that toolkit I was talking about. From here, you can edit your URL. I just changed it to my last name or my full name. So that way, when I send it to people, they know who it's from. You can change your team name from there. You can email friends and family. Hold on a second. You can also get social. So that's another place where you can find your Facebook fundraiser, and you can also download the Walk MS app from here. So it's a nice little spot to get all of your good stuff. And then again, that reward center where you can get and redeem your prizes. And then this is your fundraising page where you can edit all of this good stuff to make it more personalized to you. We give you great content when you first load these pages, but you sharing your story and your why is much more passionate, and people really feel why you're doing this because it's your own words. But again, here you can edit your goal, you can edit your statement, your story, photos, videos, all of that wonderful things. I obviously pimp out my dog because he's great for these kinds of things. People love animals. And obviously I walk for my best friend. So these are those points that we connect with all of our wonderful community to make it extra special. All right, so my little spiel is over. Does anybody have any questions about any of the functions of Walk stuff at this point? We'll leave it opened. We can also, there's another spot for questions at the end if something just reminds you and all that good stuff. Give it a second. All right. Well, I am very honored to introduce Shannon Wood from our advocacy department. She's absolutely wonderful. So take it away, Shannon.
Thanks, Christina. Thanks for having me tonight to talk a little bit about advocacy, one of my favorite things ever. And I know there's a few Virginians on the call. I cover Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia. At the end, I know we have folks from other states. There'll be contact information for your state advocacy staffer. But today I thought I would just kind of give a primer on advocacy in society, just a 101, kind of what we do and why we do it. So Advocacy at the Society is all about MS activists speaking with one voice to advance federal and state policies that improve the lives of people impacted by MS. And the reason why we do this is because we know that lawmakers are actively considering policies that impact people living with MS, and they listen to constituents, they listen to voters, maybe even more so than lobbying staff like myself. And the way that we do this, there's a variety of different ways, but it really depends on people living with MS, people who care about people living with MS sharing their stories. So there's a number of ways you can do this. You can respond to action alerts, you can meet with your lawmakers, you can participate in town halls that your member of Congress might have, and you can also even provide testimony in hearings. So there's a number of different ways they can get involved, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those. You may wonder what kind of issues that we work on at the Society. We all know, I don't have to tell this group, that there's so many issues that impact people living with MS. So in order to be strategic and kind of hone ourselves in, we focus on ensuring people living with MS have access to care and supports. So if you're curious, if you are a political nerd, you want to learn more about the policy, I encourage you to look at our current advocacy issues website. You'll see all the different policies that we work on lumped into different buckets. So for example, access to affordable medications, so prescription drug pricing, long-term services and supports, home and community-based services, economic security like paid leave. I know there's folks from Delaware on the call. That's a big push in Delaware currently. But again, it's all kind of state specific, what's moving in your area. So at the end of the day, just know that you don't need to be a policy expert on any of the issues. It's all about sharing your story. And here I thought we would play a little clip featuring a Virginia MS activist, Belinda Matos, a few from across the country. This is all about one of our big priorities at the federal level. This is all about MS research funding. So take it away.
When I think about which advocacy issue I am most passionate about, it's really hard to choose because they all represent hurdles we need to overcome legislatively. I think research funding is always important because research is the engine that drives progress.
For me, what's most fulfilling about doing MS research is answering questions that matter, answers that matter, watching the work we do in the lab, in the MRI room, in our pathology lab, in our animal work, all come together into thoughts about how we might develop new medicines, test new medicines, and get them into people as quickly as we can.
Because I'll never forget the day that the neurologist came in to tell me that I had multiple sclerosis. And the way that he did it was that he sat down and he looked, and he had a very confused look on his face. And he asked me, he says, has anybody in your family ever been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis? And I said, well, no, not that I know of. At that particular time, they did, the typical knowledge and thinking was that African Americans really did not get this disease. However, in the past 10 years, they've discovered that more and more African Americans, particularly women, are diagnosed with this disease. Since we are advocating in the MS Society now for more funding for MS research and also to fund the National Neurological Surveillance System at the CDC, I would hope that they would devote, some of those funds to gathering data on subsets by gender, race, nationality, so that it can spur more research.
Being Latina and having MS, I know I can't be the only Latina or Mexican American with MS. So, better research in terms of funding medical research can help us, give us more information on the prevalence of MS within the many groups.
I'm most passionate about finding the reason for this so that we can then proceed to find the cure for this.
The greatest thing about advocacy is how empowering it is to the individual. When you advocate on behalf of your needs and the needs of your community, it is the most self-strengthening, empowering experience I've ever had.
And there is power in numbers. We're here united to have one voice, one goal, and one voice.
So don't take it from me. You can take it from anyone featured in that film. Advocacy is awesome, and it's a great way to kind of fuel our mission forward. And just a unique way and a unique aspect of the society. So hopefully that energized you to kind of take it to the next step. And now I want to talk a little bit about ways to get involved. The way that they're featured on this slide, it's kind of like a step process. I would say joining the MS Activist Network is first. And then if you're really into it, I would go on to the next step, attending a state action day, or maybe joining one of our programs. And with that, I want to talk about the easiest way to get involved, and that's by joining the online MS Activist Network. We made it really easy. You can actually text MS Activist as you see it on your screen. It's all one word with no space to 52886, and that'll get you signed up. When you join the MS Activist Network, we're going to let you know when lawmakers are actively considering legislation in your state or at the federal level, and they need to hear from you. They need to hear from people living with MS how a certain piece of legislation is going to impact them. And the way we send out action alerts, we make it super easy for the advocate. We give you all of the policy kind of background you need to know. And I think I'm missing the slides. Oh, I'm back. So this is kind of the screen that you'll see once you're in. So on the left-hand side, you'll see this is the information that we give you, the activist, We'll tell you what's kind of going on in Congress that you need to know or at your state level so you kind of understand the issue a little bit better. And then you're going to enter in all your information. Once you join, it'll kind of pre-populate that. It'll find your lawmakers. And then most importantly, you're going to see the screen on your right. And I know it's a little small here, but you'll see my representative is kind of selected, Representative Spanberger. And then you'll see an editable text box. So we'll provide you a bunch of canned language. We kind of spruce it up so it doesn't look like a bunch of spam emails. And then you would kind of add your story, where you live, maybe your story about your journey with MS a little bit, why MS research funding is so important to you, and how it's important to the folks in Pennsylvania, right? The people that are essentially voting that member of Congress into office in the first place. So I encourage you to personalize your alerts once you get in, but the first step is, of course, signing up. So I think we also have a link we might be able to drop in the chat for joining the MS Activist Network. But again, we can also have that text code shared with everyone at the end, I think on the final slide. So also once you join the MS Activist Network, you're going to get all the information about your state action day. So this is our big kind of day of advocacy at the Capitol or at the State House. This is usually when we all come into the state capitals and we're a sea of orange. Of course, this year it's been virtual, but the great thing about State Action Day is that you come together to advocate on the same bills. So you're really making an impact, hitting all the offices with the same message about why a bill may be harmful or why we need a certain program in our state. So again, we went virtual this year, like many events at the Society. So this year we've held over 20 state action days, including in Maryland and Virginia. We held over those 20 state action days, we had over 1,000 participants. So I'm pretty proud of that. And at State Action Day, you'll have a pre-State Action Day policy training. You'll get an opportunity to ask advocacy staff any questions you might have a priority. And we'll also take time to kind of talk about how you can shape your story for a given priority. Usually, if it's in person, you'll also go and meet with your lawmakers face-to-face, kind of foster those relationships. And again, it's all about sharing your story. And here the picture, you see the virtual State Action Day from Illinois. And I think there's a lawmaker in there somewhere. It's a little Where's Waldo when it's this small, but highly encourage everyone to join your State Action Day if you can. And so next, if you really love State Action Day, you kind of want to get a little bit more involved, I would reach out to your advocacy staffer to see if there's any vacancies on your State Government Relations Advisory Committee. This group is, in my states, we meet monthly. I think that's about the standard. It's all about strategizing, identifying emerging issues, and kind of talking about what priorities we'll look at for the year, what we're going to put most of our momentum behind. They also help strategize around State Action Day. That's our big event at the state level. And so I thought I would include an example of a win in one of the states that are on. Just into the chat, we dropped a little application you can fill out, and it'll get you in touch with your state staffer. An example of an activist this year really making an impact at the state level is Mike Olex from Ashland, Virginia, excuse me. He testified in support of a state bill that would have expanded information for voters with disabilities about curbside voting. So he provided testimony, I think at the crack of dawn, had to wait a few hours until his bill came up. But the bill ultimately passed and took effect this year. So that's great. And we're always looking for folks with lived experience who can testify on these bills. It can really move the needle. So I did want to just mention once more at the state level, I was supposed to be joined by a few of my colleagues, but they are smack dab in the middle of session right now, and they are looking for access to medication stories. So if you're in Ohio or Pennsylvania and you have a story about medications being unaffordable or out of reach or just barriers to it, please contact them. And I think we have their contact information again at the bottom. I also got a plug from our Delaware staffer that they are looking for paid family leave stories. So if you have one of those, reach out to Jen. And so that's basically it at the state level. At the federal level, which we also work in, we have a DC Public Policy Office that heads most of our federal work. We have a high-level district activist leader program. And so this program is primarily for people living with MS or who directly care for someone living with MS, because it's all about sharing your story and getting stories of lived experience in front of members of Congress. So the engagement is 2 years. It's about 3 hours a month, depending on where we are in the legislative cycle, and you'll have training and support from Society staff throughout the way. There is a formal application process and an interview that's held virtually with our staffer that manages the District Activist Leader Program. But we also have a link for that if you're interested in joining our District Activist Leader Program. And so the big event that we have at the federal level is our Public Policy Conference. This is our 30th anniversary this year. This is usually held in DC. You actually meet with your members of Congress. It's usually by invite only. We invite DALs based on congressional targets. This year it was held March 22nd through 23rd, but all sessions and breakouts are available on demand for free until the end of the year. So definitely check that out. And we have a link for that conference information too. And our big priorities this year were telehealth and MS research funding. As you saw in the video, this has been one of our priorities for a few years now, but with COVID, we really ramped up our work on telehealth too. So definitely check out the PPC, the online PPC. And again, just here's a plug for the MS Activist Network and all of our contact information. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. We put a bunch of the things that Shannon had mentioned in the group chat. Again, I will send this all out to you tomorrow, so you have all the access to the links and applications. We are so thankful for all that information. We want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. We are so happy that we can show you all the other ways that your fundraising dollars are hard at work. I just want to give you a little sneak peek for the rest of the summer. Our next series will be taking place on July 20th, and we will have a special guest as a MS navigator to discuss what they do and their importance. And we will also have a local Maryland team captain who will talk about how to live with MS effectively. And then on August 18th, we'll be having a celebrity panel where you can hear and ask questions from multiple different functions across the society. So keep an eye in your inbox for more information on that coming soon. Again, thank you so much, everybody. We've said this many times, I'm sure, but from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you so much for the incredible work you've done this walk season. We all do this for many reasons, but every one of you makes this job really special. If there's no other questions, we will send you off for you to enjoy the rest of your evening. We hope we get to see you all in July, and we hope you take care. And if anybody has anything, I'll stay on for a few minutes, but thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this.